And just very briefly, Kaye, thanks for coming on the programme again. Very briefly, Kaye,
These
are rules whereby HMRC are taking lots of contractors, I've experienced it, lots of people have experienced it, lots of freelance people being taken to task by HMRC and told you are not freelance, you must pay as though you are an employee.
Yeah, probably a good way for people to understand it is portfolio workers. So people who work for a number of different engagers and juggle their own diary and are not an employee, or certainly don't regard themselves as an employee of a single organisation. And HMRC would like every single engagement that you have to be one of employment, which is quite an interesting
even if it's 10 days a year.
10 days a year, 3 days a year. I mean, I'm doing 3 days for somebody coming up, actually. It might be the only 3 days I ever work for this organisation. And actually, they are insisting that I'm PAYE because they're scared of HMRC.
Yeah, because
that's where we are now.
Yeah, because on IR35, they're not just coming after individuals, they're coming after companies as well. And the reason I have invited you on, Kaye, is the good news, within still some bad news, I know, but the good news is that HMRC, after your fourth win in the courts, has finally said it will stop appealing your case.
Well, yes, I got a very brief statement from them today just saying exactly that with no detail. And then, strangely, people then started messaging me saying, oh, that's great news. And I thought, how do these people know? Because I've not told anyone. I was actually keeping it under wraps. Turns out that they released a statement to the press at the same time, which gave a little bit more detail than they were giving to me, which I thought was an interesting tactic. I'm pleased, of course, but to be honest, they say they've decided because it is not proportionate to appeal this case. This is after 9.5 years and 4 different hearings. When did it become not proportionate? Because actually it was never proportionate. You know, I had gone through, 100 grand's worth of insurance, which is more than the tax that was in dispute, at the very first stage. So to say that they are now deciding that it is not proportionate, to be honest, it's sticking in my craw because they're trying to misrepresent what's actually been going on here.
And interestingly, it doesn't. They're not accepting that this has implications for other cases either, are they? They're not accepting that this is actually a matter of settled law, really, given how much yours has been tested and how much yours mirrors lots of other people's.
They say the first-tier tribunal does not set precedent. Well, yes, technically they are correct. I have been to the first-tier tribunal once. I won. I have been to the upper tribunal. I won. I have been to the Court of Appeal. The Court of Appeal did not rule on my case, contrary to what HMRC would like you to believe. They sent it back down again to the first-tier tribunal, and again I won. So if this doesn't set some kind of precedent for all my hard-working colleagues in the media community and other communities who've been caught up in this.
Yeah, because this is far from just a media question. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, but what is the point in this system? You know, is the law incompetent? Are the people who apply the law incompetent? Is our tribunal system incompetent?
Is it essentially just a shakedown of people for cash?
It's not for me to say that. You know, it really isn't for me to say that. But there's really some hard questions to be asked here. I mean, tax status should be easily determinable. You know, for me, my life is out there. My working life is out there. There's no great mystery to it. Never once have I hid anything. Never once have I tried not to pay any tax. But at some point in the mid, 2014 or whatever, they changed their interpretation of IR35. Now, what I would say is it up to the HMRC to have an interpretation
of the law?
Or should our legislators say this is the law and HMRC then applies that law?
And just like the post office scandal and others, there has been some exemplary interest within the House of Commons, for example, on this and other matters like the post office. But actually, people caught up in the way that you have been caught up in it, and others as well, have essentially been on their own, really, haven't they?
Well, you know, I mean, there are some politicians who've really led from the front on this, and I applaud them for that. But too often with politicians, they wait and see which way the wind is blowing. And, while we are, over-pampered media types who are trying to dodge tax, they keep quiet. When it becomes obvious that there is an abuse of power here, they start to pipe up. So, that kind of sticks in my throat as well.
Well, I hope you can celebrate a little bit of it. I know you've still got to quibble over costs with them, to say the least, but a moral victory at the very least, Kaye.
Well, to be honest, I'm worried about everyone else who's caught in the same situation, and I really don't want them to dismiss me as an exception, because I am not. You can't pick people off one by one. The law should apply equally to everyone, and in this case, it does not.